Welcome to the 6-Day Strip Show. It's your boy, EyeAmCamino, Mad Snoop in the backgrounds. And today we have a Democratic politician in Nevada, currently serving as Nevada State Assemblyman, born in Las Vegas, first elected in November 24, shortly after took office. He's a community organizer, small business owner, advocate for criminal justice reform. He made headlines for the first person known as a felony with a conviction elected in Nevada legislation.
Yes, sir.
Reflecting on his focus on justice reform issues, before winning his assembly seat, he was active in community work and ran for local office in North Las Vegas. He serves on committees like Government Affairs, Health and Human Services, and Natural Resources.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, JOVAN Jackson.
Thank you for having me, Camino. It's an honor to be on air, right in the city, right on the block. And it's truly an honor to be a voice for my community, the community that raised me, the first community that I was able to call my home, right in Assembly District 6, representing the historic West Side and what we know as Northtown.
It's glad to have you here today, and I see you up for re-election this year.
Yes, sir.
And you got good plans for this year?
I got great plans for this year. I want to continue my work in the legislature, bringing forth laws that will help those impacted by the justice system and create workforce development so people can feed their families.
You've been very vocal about second chances. What does that look like in actual policy and not philosophy?
Well, an actual policy is giving people an opportunity to, have a good job, to have adequate housing, to have higher education, removing those barriers that stop those who are formerly incarcerated from getting a job. I passed legislation that helped remove some of those barriers, so I want to continue to do that work.
Well, a lot of critics say some reforms could be too lenient. How do you plan to balance public safety and rehabilitation?
I think there's so many laws against those who are impacted by the justice system, and it just takes some common sense legislation. I passed some legislation, those who are formerly incarcerated that fought in fires should have that same opportunity once they're released. To me, this is common sense. If they're able to fight a fire while incarcerated, but they're denied that opportunity once released, that's a problem. But there's a lot of common sense legislation that could be addressed that doesn't jeopardize our public safety. And I'm a true believer that we got to allow folks to get to work and be a part of the workforce. And we talk about, we want to rehabilitate. This is how you rehabilitate.
Well, you live part of the systems that you're trying to change. How does that shape the laws you are trying to write today?
Like I said, bringing lived experiences. There's no one in the Capitol is going to care about the issues I care about because I'm directly impacted, down to even having, a mental health breakdown. I understand what that feels like. I've been through that. I'm not reading that from a book. I'm not hearing that from my constituents. Like, I have had my own lived experience. So when I hear those stories, it validates everything because I actually lived it.
What's one of the reforms you push that you believe will have the biggest real impact on the world?
So we are going in the generation of technology, AI. AI is being used for everything. And I think AI is a great tool, but we must not get away from that we are creators and that we have talent and that we got to be the operators of this technology. So I passed a first in the nation legislation around AI that prohibits AI from replacing a licensed therapist. I think that is setting a tone for the entire nation in the future that, hey, we want technology, but we also don't want to ruin or diminish the quality of care.
Well, one of your bills deals with court access and dress codes.
Yes, sir.
Why is that more important enough to legislate?
So look at this, man. We have folks being evicted out their homes. And can you imagine you being evicted out your home and you don't have no public transportation and it's 110 degrees outside and you decide to take the bus and some shorts, and then when you get to the courtroom for your eviction, you're denied entry because you don't have professional attire, I don't think that's true justice. I don't think that's access to justice. And that attire bill was to make sure that no one is denied their justice based off their attire.
Well, how do you respond to judges or critics that say that lowers the courtroom standards?
The courtroom standard should be about providing people their day in court. That's what justice is about. It shouldn't be about how the judge feel about decorum. He was elected to have decorum. The people are supposed to have access to justice. So give the people what they need.
I like that. I like that. I like that. What bills have you introduced that people may not be hearing about that they should know?
So I had a bill that was killed, that didn't make it. I won't say it was killed, but it died. So we go through this process. I know many are familiar with this is a bill on Capitol Hill. So bills die. They don't always make it through all the processes. They don't always make it to the president's desk. They don't always make it to the governor's desk. So I had a bill that I thought was excellent, but what it did, it automatically sealed your arrest record. It automatically sealed your arrest record if those charges were dismissed. So right now, if you're arrested and you are found not guilty and the charges were dismissed, even though you weren't convicted of anything, those records, those arrest records stay on file. And I feel that if you're arrested and you're found not guilty and those charges were dismissed, that the municipalities and the court should automatically seal those arrest records. That bill did not make it.
Well, beyond justice reform, what are some things you're doing about the rent cost that's rising and the cost of living in Southern Nevada?
So I represent a historic district, a district that doesn't really have HOAs, a district that still has front yards and backyards. So what I did around housing during this past session, I introduced a bill that incentivized the development of accessory dwelling units, basically like tiny homes on properties. If you rent those ADUs out on your property, that ADU, if you rent it out to someone on Section 8, that ADU will be tax exempt. So I felt like it was, one, help bring equity to a neighborhood. Two, it helps house some of the most vulnerable populations. And three, it helps homeowners. It like literally helps the people and not corporations bring equity to their community.
What's your stance on economic development that deals with tax incentives, and what's it worth it or what's it not?
So if we're using anything with tax incentives, there must be guarantees, more guarantees than risks in the bill. And so if we're doing tax incentives, it must benefit the entire state, from the cities to the rurals, and it should not jeopardize our state, and it should not bankrupt our state. So as long as there's more guarantees than outputs, that's something I could possibly support.
Do you think Nevada is doing enough to support people coming out of incarceration economically?
I think we could do more. We look at housing right now, and there's no adequate source of transitional housing for those incarcerated. And then many places may not house those that have a record. So I think there's a lot of things that need to be done. And that's why I think it's so important that people with lived experiences run for office so they could bring these issues to the legislature.
Let's talk about some political pressure and some controversy.
Okay.
They say you already faced political opposition early in your career. What are people getting wrong about you?
That I'm qualified and that I did the job very well and better than most. As a freshman legislator, I was able to pass bills with a Republican governor. There's many freshman legislators that do not pass bills. So it lets people know, hey, I may have a unique background. I may be unapologetic about advocating for my community, but at the end of the day, I know how to get the job done, and I know how to pass some bills, and I know how to be a voice for my community.
Have you had to compromise on any of your core beliefs since taking office?
I won't say I did not have to compromise, but you have to have an open mind. You have to understand the opposition. Even though I want to fight for X, Y, and Z, and I've always been a fighter, I have to understand the other side. So I won't say it has not compromised me, but it makes you really be more open-minded about the issue. And even though it is good in intentions, you have to be aware of the unintended consequences.
There's been a debate around major proposals like film tax credits. Where do you stand and why?
I would say those type of proposals, like I said earlier, must benefit the state and have guarantees in the state that outweigh any risk. That's how I feel about any tax incentive program, that there must be more guarantees and more benefits for the state than risk.
Okay, let me get your personal perspective on something. Let's say you're one of the first lawmakers with a background. Do you feel pressure to represent more than your district?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because I represent Assembly District 6, but I also represent every person that has made a mistake, that has ended up in the incarcerated system, who has been in a cage. I represent every individual that has been through that. So if I make a mistake, then that could reflect the entire population that's trying to get a second chance, that's trying to prove that I'm trying to do better. So I have to hold myself to a higher standard, just not for Jovan Jackson, but for every other person that's coming out the prison or jail system that's trying to do better for themselves.
Okay, well, what would you say to someone who doesn't believe in second chances?
I want to say, Jovan want to say that they never been through nothing, and that we're all going to go through times in life where we made mistakes. Whether you got arrested for it or not, we all need a second chance in life, and no person is perfect. As assemblyman, I'm gonna say this, that we talk about recidivism, reducing people going back to prison and jail. So we need policies that reflect that. How can we talk about rehabilitation and that, why can't he do better, when we're not creating those opportunities through laws and through housing, through workforce, through education?
Okay, so we're gonna get to the closing right now.
Okay.
So, what's one thing that you want to accomplish before your current term is over?
As a state assembly member, like, what do you mean?
Yes, as your position now that you stand in.
So one thing I would like to see, and this probably won't be done no time soon, but as a state lawmaker, while I'm in this position, and this may be 10 years from now, I would like to see individuals in prison be able to vote.
Now, for all the people that's watching out there on the 6-Day Strip Show, if there's only one thing they can remember about you, what should it be?
My name is Jovan Jackson, and I'm busy doing the right things.
Shine Entertainment. Yeah.